Hi, I'd like to introduce you to Francine Jones. She's one of the wives who is featured in the film I Married the War. Her husband, Bruce, was a Marine in Vietnam, and he suffered through one of the most brutal battles, the Siege of Khe Sanh, during the winter and spring of 1968. We asked Francine why she chose to participate in this film. And so here's her story. Take a listen in, and I'll see you afterwards.
You just didn't talk about it with anybody at all. And I know at first I didn't even understand what it was and what was going on. Like I remember Bruce taking about 72 hours to get from a battlefield to an airport where he had people, family screaming that he was home. And so I think, that first shock of that, and then just him being home, you didn't notice anything. There wasn't anything there. But it was after that, after a few days that nightmares started and things like that. So that I thought, I really wondered, because here we had been 13 months apart. I really wondered, was it me, or was it the coming back and out of the war? You don't know. I mean, it was just such an iffy time for me, even though it felt lonely at that time, because I only talked to my family and a few friends at that time. There had to have been other people who went through this and just never talked about it like I never talked about it. It gave me some peace of doing it, but then I also felt that if it could help other people to know, yeah, I went through that, or yes, that's how I felt back then, or even now, some of these things between husband and wife, whether it's the husband or the wife going to war, sometimes those things you feel so personal, and there is that feeling of, is it me? Is it our relationship that's kind of falling apart? Or is this some other thing that you just didn't know? I mean, I just didn't know at that time. And I just feel like I'm not any different than anybody else. And that if this is my story, it certainly has to be the story of other people, whether it's men or women, nowadays, but at that time, especially women. So that was my reason for finally deciding and saying yes, that I would tell my story. That I did have a good feeling. I did have a good feeling of relief when it was done, when the interview was done.
Thanks for listening to Francine's story. It's a universal story for families of combat veterans everywhere. Please help us finish this film. We've only got a few days left, and we just got a couple of $1,000 more to go. So any contribution you can make, no matter how small, would be truly appreciated. Here comes the information. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.